Hi everyone, thank you for listening. My name is Karina Eskandari and I'm a realtor here in the GTA, and I'm making these informational videos for you to better understand the GTA and Toronto market. If you have any questions specific to your home or want to chat about the market, there's a link in my description that will lead you to a Calendly meeting. Feel free to book an appointment. Is the market crashing? That is the million-dollar question, and in this video, I'm going to help you come to that conclusion or give you the information needed to help determine whether or not the market's crashing. So the market crashing is such an important factor whether you're a seller or a buyer, because it's going to determine what you choose to genuinely do. And there's so much information and misinformation out there that I really want to make this video to help people understand you need to dig a little bit deeper and look behind that curtain. So one of the biggest factors, and there are 4 factors which determine if the market is crashing, is interest rates. And yes, interest rates are one of those important factors, and we have seen them go up 8 consecutive times in the year, but it is not the only determining factor. However, it seems to be all we're hearing in the news headlines. So I don't blame you for thinking that way or only knowing that narrative, because it's all we see in the headlines and the articles. Interest rates go up, market crashes, which is technically a true statement in the sense when interest rates go up, the home prices tend to go down, but there are 4 factors in total when determining if a market is crashing or not. So why don't we break those down? So the first factor is interest rates. And as we know, the rates have gone up from the overnight Bank of Canada rate of 0.25 to a whopping 4.5%. So yes, that factor has changed. Interest rates have gone up, which historically means and tends to trend for home prices going down, which they have, as we've seen. The next important factor to look at is the economy. And it's very important to look and measure what is going on with the economy to determine how it's going to impact the market. The main thing and the key factor that we looked for is the GDP, gross domestic product. And that's essentially a scorecard of our economic health. Now, the GDP is a market of all goods and services produced within a specific time frame. The reason why this is so important is that policymakers, investors, and businesses, they use it as a guide to their decision making. And we should be using that factor as well, not just interest rates. We also want to look at employment data. Are people working or not? An 8% unemployment or less puts us in a good real estate market. Once we start hitting 8% or more, that's when we can start seeing some challenges. People are not losing homes to masses that would cause or signify or trigger a market crash when we don't see above 8% in unemployment. Also, manufacturing activity and prices of goods and services are indicators to good economic health. The third factor that you want to look into is demographics. You want to analyze the data of the population. So population growth, gender, age of the population, migration patterns. Unfortunately, this column or this category is often overlooked, but it plays significant factors of how it's going to impact the real estate market and the types of properties that are going to be in demand. You need to analyze all of these factors within the demographics to understand what type of property people are going to be needing. For example, if we know it's a lot of families immigrating into Canada, or if we have a significant aging population, we're going to have a better idea of what type of properties will be in demand. We also tend to forget, and the news headlines often forget to mention when they're discussing just the interest rates, is the record-breaking immigration that is coming into Canada in the years to come, which will impact the real estate market for the next decades. The last factor is government policies and subsidies. So legislation is also a factor that has a major impact on the demand of housing and prices. So for example, let's take the mortgage stress test, which came out in 2017. It had a big impact on buyer affordability, and it did impact prices during the time that it was implemented. However, in hindsight, it seemed like a necessary policy, and it clearly was, in order to determine that if rates were to rise, that delinquency amounts would be low. And in fact, we are seeing record low delinquencies, and I believe a lot of that has to do thanks to the stress test which was implemented. There are a number of factors that will determine if you want to buy or sell, and all I'm asking after watching this video is that you look behind the curtain and don't just use a headline that covers one specific factor in a few that make up whether or not the market is going to crash or not. Go dig deeper and do your research into what's going on to understand where we are headed in the market and if the market's crashing in fact or not. If you have any questions, I'm always free for a chat. You can use the description in this video to book a Calendly appointment with me, and please don't forget to like or subscribe.